Hello there, my friends, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond Our Reason, where we're jumping into this one quickly because I actually don't have very much time. I accidentally procrastinated a little too hard. I know I've got to get this recording out and uploaded before, the end of the evening. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a match that was submitted over in the Discord channel. It's a game played on Bismuth Valley between some top-level commanders and should be an absolute treat. Today, spawning as the blue team leader is an Armada commander on the front lines. It's going to be none other than Azariad. Now, Azariad clocks in at 47 open skill, which is pretty high up there, but is not anything in comparison to the red team leader wearing the Viking crown. It's gonna be none other than Zhao, clocking in at 52 open skill. And I have a bit of a rant to go on here, because I feel like oftentimes it's not said enough how big of a difference 47 to 52 is, as opposed to, like, for instance, 38 to 42, right? Like, the difference between 5 OS or so in 40 to 50s is way bigger than the difference between 40s to upper 40s or 40s to 50s, right? So, something to 30s to 40s, that sort of thing. It's something to keep in mind here as we take a look at these commanders brawling it out against each other. But another reason why I thought this match might be interesting, one of the reasons I'm sure why it was submitted, is because if we zoom out here and take a look across the field, you can see that it's lined up pretty nicely, actually. We've got the first and third commander here for the red team up on the top side, and then we've got the, well, I guess the third and the second commander, and then Azariad also sort of towards that side. And then on the bottom side here, we have the fourth commander and the seventh commander going up against the what would that be? Fifth commander and the eighth commander. So what we've kind of got here, more or less, and a little bit more than less, is a match where all of the rankings are more or less aligned. Yeah, kind of interesting, because typically on this map, I feel like it goes one of two ways. We either see a match where all of the ranks are aligned against each other, and so we get this long, drawn-out brawl, and those games can go on for quite a while until either, bombers, that T3 epic late game comes out. There's a lot of late game opportunity there. However, this match was only 21 minutes. Now, obviously, the pros play quite a bit faster, so 21 minutes is really a lot closer to a 40-minute noob game, so I'm curious to see what that does end up equating to at this point, but yeah, very, very curious, because it certainly is a bit of a weird, a weird opportunity to get a chance to look at these commanders fighting against each other one-on-one, right, or sort of lined up appropriately, rather than, the top player against the weakest on either side, and then we get that typical yin-yang match. Sorry, that's the other type of match that we do see pretty often. Anyways, from a high-level perspective here, we've been able to see a little bit of aggression here. The blue commander manages to sneak a couple of ticks through, but altogether not managing to do all too much damage. An excellent defense right here from the red team. Coom Stacks, the maroon commander here, loses only a single wind turbine before shutting all that down. The defensive grunts have been phenomenal, but of course it does open up this front line here. So that's the advantage that Armada can exploit in the early game, is that they can send those ticks into the back line, forcing defense from the units right here, meaning that their units can move forward a little bit quicker and, try and go take care of that front line. It's kind of an interesting advantage. It's not really it's not an advantage that's written down on paper, right? Like, it's hard to read that through the numerics of the game. But when you think about it, yeah, the ticks having the ability to cross the map before the enemy units have a chance to get to the front line means they're going to be putting the enemy on the defensive back foot. Kind of cool. And beyond all reason, offense is always stronger than defense, so it's really cool to see that because, well, obviously that means that, those ticks can sway the efficiency of a battle. I was going to say the tide of a battle, but really specifically it's the efficiency of a battle, because you can get your units into position, you can get them on the field where they need to be. It really does change things up nicely here, and especially for a commander as comfortable and powerful as Azariad, it's going to be all the world of a difference to have that control on the battlefield. Coomstack's going for the safe expand here and just building a whole bunch of LLTs. And I don't mind that, but obviously the blue comm is reading into this, right? I think we saw those, LLTs being built up and says, okay, well, if you're going to dump a couple hundred metal into LLTs, I may as well just take these forces and see if I can put a little bit of pressure on anywhere else on the map. And so now the Tan commander is forced to defend here as well, while they're expanding forward here. Sometimes we see this comm get into air, but it looks like this time around it's going to be the Tan commander going ahead and getting into bots. Mirrored here by the purple comm, who's also gone into, well, not bots, but has gone into vehicles, not playing in the air this time, instead going to be playing boots on the ground. Well, wheels on the ground. Rocketbot started up nice and early here for Quaif, has basically I mean, is well aware that this devolves into an LLT frontline duel here very rapidly, so has decided to sort of skip a step here in avoiding the T1 pawn game and instead go straight for those rocket bots. And I don't think it's a terrible idea. Centurion is out here for the orange commander, and obviously quite powerful, the Centurion, especially with a little bit of repair micro from the commander, but also those rocket bots have enough range to kite against the Centurion, so it really does become a little bit of an APM battle. Southern side, a little run by here as Pickle Daddy is forced to degun down some wreckages, but not the end of the world because, of course, the lasers will take out the very rest of these, and the aggravators are helping out a lot, and all said and done, Dinosuchus, I mean, clears out some of the front line, but at the end of the day, didn't actually manage to extract much resources from that. So I want to say that was probably a decent trade, but not the best. Yeah. Those units might have been more efficient to push with later on down the line. Dinosuchus is now left with basically nothing. We have Rocketeers coming out of the laboratory, but it's going to be a minute before those hit the front lines. So for the time being, Dinosuchus is forced to just go ahead and go for some LLTs. Not the end of the world, but there's already aggravators out and running again, so Pickle Daddy has the advantage on the southern side. Seafoam green versus pink. Hot pink versus powder blue here. Naiju versus Che. Again, aggravators on the field already for the pink commander, so it does mean that the pressure can be applied to some of these LLTs. It means the T1 static defense era is long gone. And now we're devolving into that well-known, good old-fashioned laser and plasma cannon and all sorts of artillery no man's land here. But I like this position from Teriyaki Tilo a little bit better because, of course, they can step forward to try and deny this metal extractor here from Kyber, whereas Kyber's going to have a really, really hard time trying to deny the metal extractor here for Tilo. Missile trucks abound. Firing away right here, but the blitzes actually, with their slight buff, are going to be able to fire quite efficiently here at these grunts. Nicely done. The buff for the blitz essentially allowing them to fire past themselves a little bit more efficiently, which is always cool. I like this play with the walls right here. So this is something I've seen the pros do pretty often recently, and it's something that actually I've been trying to incorporate in my own gameplay as well. Basically, if you put a wall like this, and you put a Rocketeer right behind it, the wall is tall enough that the Rocketeer will be able to fire over it, but enemy Rocketeers won't be able to fire at your Rocketeer. They'll hit the wall instead. It's a really effective way of sieging LLTs if you just build a couple of walls and then park your Rocketeers behind it. It's also really effective because if the enemy pushes into you, you're going to have 3 or 4 shots where they basically can't fire at you. Now, all that changes as you go into Plasma Bots, and most core comms will be pretty quick to go into those thugs once they're ready to start pushing for realsies. But definitely when tearing down the static defense, something like this is not uncommon. The wave of aggravators heading forward right here for the pink commander. I feel like we don't give aggravators as much attention as they deserve. Look at those little dual-mounted triple rocket pods. At one point, I did see somebody make a mod that changed this to be a double rocket. I thought that was pretty cool. Instead of firing 1 missile, they fired 2 littler missiles. Did the same amount of damage in total. I always thought that was a pretty neat idea. Missile trucks here have carved their way through the defenses, the LLTs right here of the Maroon Commander, and now Coomstax is up 2 versus 1 here. Oh, medium tanks, okay. Hey, medium tanks found the missile trucks. Missile trucks are kind of good now. I'm always so hesitant to say that about missile trucks. Missile trucks have gone through many changes and worn many hats over the years, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that missile trucks are quite powerful now. They're mobile enough that you can get them into position. They do enough damage to be worth building, and they have just enough HP to be able to sort of brawl on the front lines. I wouldn't say they're an assault unit by any measure, but you can definitely get them out of a tricky situation with a little bit of repair micro and a little bit of movement micro. Nice Deegan right there. Preserves the wreckage, but kills the other tank. That's some high HP efficiency trading right there. And Coomstax is slowly losing on the front line. Obviously, those LLTs going down have opened up the push, and now Aziriot is eager to move forward. Do we have any resbots? We do not. Okay. Well, that's a little bit rare. The resbots are sort of key to all this because, of course, once these units go down, you want to resurrect them in order to, well, keep the push going as long as possible and extract as much resource as possible when the push dies out. We did see the tank commander, the explosion of the tank commander, I should say, on the southern side here, whittled down by these rocket trucks I was just praising not a second ago, and going to be completely eaten up here by Nock the purple commander, who has done a great job of extracting that resource and needs to get out of that front line here. HLT going to be quite nice for threatening back these forces. Ooh, a nice flank right here from these vehicles as well, these little rascals. Poking away at those medium tanks, but activating that flanking bonus so that the HLT does a little bit more damage here. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it one bit. Now we've got the HLT up here, so this is quite nice. It denies a wide area. We've got that hideously expensive jammer right here. I wish they would reduce the range and the cost, but that'll be the last time complaining about it. I know you guys listen to my casts, you know, every single day, and if you don't, you definitely need to subscribe and hit that like button down below. I'm looking at you. Yes, you. And if so, I'm sure you've heard me complain about the jammer discrepancy for quite some time. I just don't feel like they're worth it anymore. So powerful to not be able to see the radar signature here, but for double the cost, I just don't know. Because again, you can build 2 Cortex jammers for the cost of 1, so somebody pointed out the way that pizza math works is that as a circle gets bigger, as its radius gets bigger, it's not a linear increase. It's, I believe it's a square increase. I could be wrong. It's a bigger than you would expect increase. How's that? It basically means that when those radiuses increase, you get much more value out of it. But yeah, two of those circles is quite impressive. I don't know. Maybe the math adds up. Maybe they are actually the same total surface area. Never do math on a stream, and certainly getting into the area of a circle is a little bit beyond what I'm allowed to do here on a live cast. More commander trades all over the place. We see the 2 comms go down in the midsection here. We also see the 2 comms trade out on the southern side. As we saw, the Seafoam Green Commander was attempting to try and avoid this ultimate outcome, but at the end of the day, they are going to fall down nicely, though. There is a construction tower. Hey, look at that. Con Tower actually manages to extract almost all the value from that commander, meaning that this trade was a little bit more efficient than I think the Pink Commander was expecting here. Was hoping to get nearly 2,500 metal out of that. Instead, only got about half of that, so is going to have to, at the very least, eat up this T1 laboratory. Yeah, there we go. Resbots can eat up labs too, by the way. Quakers are so good. HLT has been blown to smithereens here by this explosion in the midsection. Naiju, boom, goes the powder blue commander. Now, somebody pointed out in a comment how many commander deaths I miss per cast. Put your guess down below in the comment section. I'm gonna say I catch 40% of commander deaths. Because they usually die in pairs, and I feel like every once in a while I'll see one commander die on its own. I'd say I catch 30 to 40% of the commander deaths, but I'm curious what you guys think down below. Or if somebody wants to run the numbers, obviously it's all recorded. Bark dog bark. The, ooh, nice self-D right there. Ramming the Fiend directly into the commander. Jamakis does kill the laboratory, which pays for the sacrifice of this commander. Well, but he does lose a bunch of those Sheldon there as well. And Fiend's moving in, Actually, Bark Dog Bark in a little bit of trouble. Down goes the orange commander. All right. In pairs we go. The orange and green commander both perishing in nearly an instant. 4 comms dead on this northern side. What a brutal moment. What a graveyard. 4 commanders all dead right there. And if we activate our metal vision, you can see nearly 6,000 metal lying on the floor right here, ripe for the reclamation, and going to be very, very important here as we move into the late game. Well, absolutely no production base in the background here. We didn't even have build power to rebuild all this, which means that the red Zhao is in a really tough position. Okay. Suddenly, this is looking really, really nice for the green commanders. Managed to get that forward T2 lab up and running, of course, and he's going to start expanding backwards to get those T2 metal extractors, 4xing that economy, and using those twitchers, no doubt, to reclaim some of this metal and maybe even start building those metal extractors. We need some units on the front line, though. We are going to go for sumos. I think that's the right choice against these grunts. Sumos are, well, they're just perfect. They have enough HP to sustain against the grunts. They do enough damage to kill them pretty quickly. They're the perfect choice right here. I love to see that. And still a T1 battle on the southern side here. The disparagements between technology between some of the top and bottom commanders. Well, actually, there we go. We do have some sumo rolling out. I missed those bad boys. The trash cans waddling forward right here. Never going to be an efficient trade no matter how you slice it and dice it. Yeah, these trash can bots are going to waddle their way backwards here into the main composition, but those aggravators just can't really keep up with the firepower needed to support those sumos. Sumos do a decent amount on their own, but they just don't have very much range. They're meant for up-close brawling, which makes them great for pushing into compositions of T1 units because, of course, T1 doesn't have much range to begin with. So they're going to trade out green here. I mean, there's no way they don't trade out. Oh, unless they get D-Gun. Nicely done by Elegant Wish. Does D-Gun down those sumos right there. All right, well, those nearly 1,500, a little more than that metal right down there. How much is a sumo, actually? Yeah, 5,000 or 560 metal, so 15, yeah, call it 1,600 metal or so. New and improved Banisher tanks rolling forward, trying to fire away those Banisher missiles directly towards the yellow forces that have so easily cleaned out this midsection here. Things got a little dicey at the midsection of that push there from the red team, but eventually the T2 reinforcements were sufficient to blast us all to smithereens, and now the geothermal has collapsed right here, shutting off a huge portion of the energy supply needed to produce these very high cost units. T2 mexes are up and running, but without a way to power them, they're not making any metal. Okay. One bull and a couple of jaguars. It will be enough. It will be enough. It's just unfortunate to have had to give up so much in order to eventually shut this down, but with reinforcing pools coming out as well, this will eventually be cleaned up. Bulls versus Jaguars is a huge advantage for the Bulls. They have more HP, they have more damage, they have more range, they're better, they're stronger, they go to the gym every day. The Jaguar gets up in the morning and wishes it was a bull. It looks at the price tag, though, and backs off, definitely. Now we got Fiends moving towards the Maroon base as well. We do have a little bit of a static defense coming up here. Frankly, I think Fiends, counter Fiends, in order to shut this down would have been the best idea here. At this point, the Fiends have made it to the laboratory, and with only 2 construction turrets, there's just not enough build power to really produce anything to stop this. Yeah, that Fiend is going to manage to self-destruct, popping not only the build power, but also a couple of those wind turbines. And the Marine Commander is effectively, for all intents and purposes, knocked out of this match, because they'd either have to build a Twitcher and then build power, which of course they don't have the resources to do because all the metal extractors have gone down, and there's no T2 mexes either, relying on charity from the team, essentially. And all this metal has already been eaten up here by the blue team, by the way. What a tremendous position right here for the blue commanders. Yeah, going for a little build power and then into the AGO. Won't even mind seeing a Cerberus right here, but the AGO is a little bit greedier, but not the end of the world, of course. By basically no measure is the AGO a bad idea. It's not really around anything super critical, so if it goes super nuclear, it is going to... No, what's it called? Hold on, I know this. Increasing pressure, implode, or explosion, something. something when your water heater gets to high pressure, and suddenly you can't really do any... Oh! Fat boy. Blowing apart some butlers that were assisting this constructor here. What a menace. Alright. Southern side in a lot of trouble too. We do have a Sheldon army that's been built up here. Radar jammer has been tagged by a single projectile. A little bit of damage, so it will no longer function. Very sensitive piece of equipment, that. Finally comes back and online right here for Pickle Daddy. And these Sheldon will be able to start firing away again. Ooh, we do have a spy bot here, actually. Almost died to the fire right there just because it happened to be right next to these welders. Oh, I like this play. Oh, I like this play. Boom goes the spy bot right there. Detonates on top of those Sheldon, cutting that army in half. We have another counter spy bot coming up right here. Oh, look at that. We've got 2 of these spy bots coming out. The Spectre and the Ghost. Nice. Spy bot connects with not only this entire composition, but the enemy spy bot. Will it be shut down? Only an 8-second timer on these units nowadays. I don't think so. Did we notice the spy bot is the question. Doesn't really matter, is the other question. The answer is probably no. The Fiends are running forward, and there's nothing really here to stop them. We need some sumos or something. There's a calm death. Those bulls have ravaged the brown and yellow front line here. As you can see, we've got a couple of these starlights rolling out at this point to try and melt those down with a swiftness unparalleled. Hey, very nice. Probably about 5 to 6 shots in order to kill one of those bulls with the starlights, making them one of the most efficient anti-bull and anti-heavy units in general, weapons in the game. Yeah, no build power on the southern side either. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the exact opposite of what I predicted here, a little bit of a yin-yang match. If we zoom out to a high-level perspective, we can observe this in all its great... Well, I guess you can't really see it from that map. From all this great, glorious detail, the blue force is pushing inwards now towards the red facilities, desperately trying to hold on the northern side. Likewise, on the southern side, that commander taps out of the game, and indeed, it's going to be the blue commander that inherits everything, as now Elegant Wish is put on the hot seat, trying to defend against a full-blown T2 army headed towards the base, funded by your entire teammate's economy. Well, it's a terrible situation, but definitely one that's salvageable. If we react quick enough, if the eco is there for it, sending forces down south to try and save it might be the best bet here. The red commander obviously could rebuild if we abandoned all the push right here, but as long as we take out the build power, it's going to be a lengthy process, at least a minute or 2. Buys you enough time to send reinforcements to save the southern side, and then you can go back to pressuring the top side. Meanwhile, Jaguar tanks have found the eco structures right here for the Maroon commander, those metal extractors that are very valuable. Heavy tanks have found a whole bunch of sumo to gnaw on. And the bulls are going down here as well. Banishers doing a bunch of friendly fire damage on accident. But still very, very valuable. Yeah, there they go. Firing away here at those bulls. Banishers definitely the answer to those ultra-heavy units right here. The Bulls have been recalled as a base defense. The Blue Commander still in charge of this southern side here. Building a whole bunch of Twin Guards and now going to build a Scorpion turret as well. Always very cool to see. The Lightning Tank, meanwhile, blasting apart the Bull over here on this side. Gigantic facility here, inherited by the Yellow Commander. Teriyaki is going to be, well, beset upon quite rapidly here by a whole bunch of Sumos accompanying their Sheldon consort, which is going to be quite effective, I would say, for blasting apart all this base. Fat Boy here included in the march, always cool. The Snot Globber. Bombers now ravaging the backline. Heavy play right here from the Green Commander, transitioning into air in order to leverage that air power that just didn't exist out on the map for this entire game. Now these bombers, despite fighters being in the air, counter fighters here produced by the pink player, love to see that, by the way. These bombers have still done tons and tons of damage. They've taken out wind turbines, they've popped metal extractors, they've killed basically entire bases on their own. And they're doubling back around to try and see if they can drop off one more payload here to try and pop some more of these wind turbines. Lovely stuff right there. Yeah, Green Commander getting tons of value out of these bombers. I love that. Oh. Bombers accidentally passing over the juiciest wind turbine connection they've ever seen in their short airborne lives in favor of harassing the pink commander, which is actually nice. I mean, obviously, with fusion reactors up and running, those wind turbines only contribute slightly to the energy production, but it is something. It's worth noting, and especially if you're dealing with those Cortex units that do have an energy cost, like mammoths and whatnot. Yeah, that energy drain can be enough to make or break a entire push. As you can see, blue reinforcements have been spared, and just like that, the blue team manages to crumble upon the red just faster, or collapse rather, upon the red, as the red crumbles, faster than the red could do likewise. T3 units were on the way, but they just didn't get there fast enough, and it will be our blue heroes who managed to run away with this game beyond all reason. Thanks a ton for watching, and if you did enjoy, please feel free to like and subscribe and join the Brightworks Discord channel, which is always linked down below in the description, and more importantly than any of that, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, Commanders.